Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and we are ready to make this change because this could be episode 652, and I think it might be 651, but I might be wrong. But in this episode, as you may know, if you've been listening to my work, it is broadcasted live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, and I think that may be it. And YouTube, if I didn't say that. But it's super, super awesome to be here because today we're talking about expanding our mind by realizing that, look, if we don't have challenges, we're going to get zero change. And I want to be able to broaden it to a very, very expanded prospect, an expanded point of view. Because, look, if you want meaning out of life, you have to find meaning within it or live a life of meaning, which is, I know is pretty silly just to say, well, the meaning of life is to find meaning within it. But a part of that meaning is to be able to understand growth. You are listening to this with hopefully the intention to grow in some way, to be able to expand your consciousness, to expand your thoughts and your ideas in life. Because if we're just so rigid, if we're just so in our own mind, if we're just stuck in this prison of not going beyond our boundary, we're not going to really transform. We're not going to be able to see the contrast in life. We're just living by the same old pain, the same old thoughts and ideas that we're not enough, that we're not worthy, that we're not deserving, that we're not capable. We just stay stuck in this familiar zone, the most uncomfortable place, despite many people calling it their comfort zone. You see, if you imagine in your mind that you are just stuck in a circle, and you just live that, then it becomes very, I'm trying to think of the word, sedentary. You're just stuck there. You're just sedated by your present existence, by the present worries and doubts. And that in itself is very, very damaging, of course, because we don't like to feel those feelings that do not serve us, that do not allow us to move forward. So when we come into this world, everything we start to do in the world, growing is expansion. You're learning new things all the time. You're learning how to walk. You're learning how to talk. You're learning to understand the differences between different things, from the emotions that you feel, from the ideas you have about your identity. All of those things. You are here to grow. So ask yourself, look, what do I need to challenge myself? Because the challenge is going to give you so much more than you can imagine. You see, when you challenge yourself, you are open to something new. Imagine that circle, you're expanding it, you're going into new territory, you're going into a place that you've never been before. You're voyaging into the unknown. And in the unknown is where you learn and where you grow. So when you see as the issues that we experience, we see them as problems, we see them as conflict, but no, change your frame of reference and see it as an opportunity to expand yourself within the challenge of growing. That's where we've got to really get to. We've got to think about it as a challenge, because zero challenge will give you zero change. You will stay the same. And even worse than that, I don't think you will stay the same. I will think most probably we'll just get worse because we'll feel smaller over time. We won't begin to enjoy the fruits of life around us. So when we see things as a problem, change that word problem to challenge. See it as an opportunity to grow, to be able to expand your thoughts, because that's where the epiphanies happen. That's where innovation happens. When you go out there to test your ability. Remember, there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. You're just testing your life experience. Am I getting my result or not? If I'm not getting my result, I'm going to adapt and do something differently. If I'm still not getting the result, I'm going to adapt and do something differently. That is the law of requisite variety. The person or the system with the most flexibility will control how they react in that environment. In other words, they won't let the environment dictate how they experience life. It won't mean life will dictate your happiness. Have you ever thought about that sometimes? That maybe you feel like life is working against you? That life is actually kind of controlling you? Is causing you to feel small? That sometimes everything is just weighing down on us? Now I want to have a little thought and a mindset shift in awareness here, because I was thinking about this after a very, very successful month of work and enjoying my life. I reflected on what was present in this month, which may not have been present in previous months, but was present in times when I was very, very successful. Well, number one, I saw everything as an opportunity and a challenge. I wasn't weighted down by scarcity, worries, and doubts and all the things I've got to do. I was doing something which I think was a bit of a twist on what I usually say, is that number one, I love to radiate, right? I love to radiate my desires. Whatever I desire, desires me too. That's my philosophy. If I'm going to change my life, expand my world, expand my thoughts, expand my consciousness, I need to be able to tune in to my desires. In other words, like imagine a radio station or a radio with radio stations. What are we tuning into? Are we tuning into the station of doom and gloom and scarcity, worries and doubts? Or are we tuning into that blissful music, the one which resonates with our soul, which resonates with our beingness, that allows us to enlighten the illusionary darkness? Because when you tune out of what you dislike, that resonance, and then tune into what is, or the dissonance I should say probably, but then into resonance of your desires, you feel so aligned. You feel as if that contrasting experience, that sedation, that pain begins to disappear because you're desiring and tuning in to what you want. So tune into what your desires are, but I also notice this other little subsection of my mindset of when I'm very, very successful. And that is that I'm literally pulling in the world around me. I'm pulling in what I desire, just energetically. Like I'm pulling in what I want. And weirdly enough, that energetic change of not just radiating my desires, but also pulling in that experience and my desires, that things are coming at me in the most great way. The like opportunities are hunting me down, not me trying to hunt them down. When I change that frame of reference and change my psychology, my physiology into that place, literally everything pops out at me. It causes me to see things I never saw, and it actually allows me to do what? It goes into the uncomfortable zone. Because now I feel like there's opportunity. And now that opportunity is a challenge to grow. Because if we're not challenging ourselves every single day, I was talking about it to someone this week, and our conclusion was self-development or improvement or whatever you call whatever we're doing right now. Hopefully it's some level of improvement, right? Should be a fundamental, mandatory thing that you do every single day. If you're not focusing on improving yourself, you are not growing. If you're not focusing on your well-being, your psychological, your mental, your emotional, your physical well-being throughout the day, or at least in the beginning of your day, to set up your outcomes and your dreams and your goals, then you're not living life right, in my opinion. And once again, there's just like the last episode or the one before last, which was who you're listening to. So feel free not to listen to me. I have zero complaints if you do not want to listen to me, because this is your life. This is your experience. But I really think that your personal development, your spiritual development, your conscious development, your life experience, your physical well-being, all of that great and good stuff should be mandatory to live a successful life. It should have been things we were taught at school. Should have been given when we were at college, should have been given maybe by our parents, but not all parents had the ability to do so. But we have to get to that place in our mind going, look, I know without challenges, I'm not going to grow. So how can I challenge myself today? And that is the improvement. That is the expansion of your thoughts and your consciousness. That is where you will start to see the truth and the reality and the vibrance and the polar opposites, the kaleidoscope of beauty, the kaleidoscope of opportunity all around you, because you are asking yourself, what can I do more at? What can I do better at? And one of that same episode, I think we may have talked about, and it was like just to suck less at something. Now, sucking less at something means you're still growing, right? You're still getting better. How can I get better, or how can I suck less at something? You've got to prioritize your thoughts and your ideas and your feelings, your intention, your beingness into the challenge. Because that growth, that expansion of your consciousness, that is what we're really after. You don't learn when you're sitting on the sidelines of life. You don't learn when you're just staying in the same place. It doesn't allow you to experience the joys around us. And yes, absolutely, in every single way, it will be hard at times. But being hard is not the problem. It's not, it's just a challenge. That doesn't mean it's a problem. We really fall way too short in our ideas of what hard is. We don't know what hard is most of the time. There are people throughout the history of mankind who have gone through very, very hard things and survived. So we got to get ourselves in that mindset of going, look, how can I grow today? But this big so-called problem is my opportunity to show the world that I am ready to play it bigger and be more and live the life that I want. When that challenge is coming your way, go, yes, I'm excited by this. When you're going into that career, you're going for that interview, and you know it's gonna be a challenge, embrace it and be excited by it. Don't shy away from the challenge. Because within the challenge is the growth. Within that growth will bring new challenges. That is why you're listening to this, because you wanna grow. We've been growing forever. We are wanting to always educate, and that goes down to one of the primary directives of the unconscious mind, which is to learn and grow. We have this fascination to grow. We have this always wanting to absorb more, and sometimes we get it into buying stuff because we think that gives us more, but really we want the challenge, we want the expansion, we want that connection, we want to be able to pursue that happiness, pursue the dream, pursue the goals and the outcome through the journey of the expansion within the challenge. So really make a firm decision in your life right now that whatever problem or so-called problem I'm going to say here, because I know you're going to say, look, Joseph, it is a problem. It is painful and it's hurtful, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But if we only ever see it as a problem, it may cause us to stay the same. Unless you're really good at fixing problems, I love the idea of some problems because it causes me to think to how I can solve it. So if that's your frame of reference, that's fine. But if you feel like your so-called problems are actually working against you, that are causing you to feel debilitated, paralyzed, and stuck in where you are, change your reference and go, no, this is my opportunity to grow. This is my challenge to expand. If you see it that way, the energy changes. You begin to unconsciously give yourself permission to look for more opportunities. If you always say, look, I cannot do this and I can't do that, it will never work for me, you're telling your unconscious mind that is the only conclusion possible. If you go, let's just say, you're going for that job and that interview and you're going, look, I'm never gonna get this. I'm so silly, I'm so stupid. If you just said that as your mantra, but I'm so silly, I'm so stupid, I'm never gonna get this job. Well, then you might go, well, why am I so stupid? Why am I so silly? Why can I never get these jobs? And you can change it to a relationship, you can say it to your finances. Why am I never rich? Why am I X, Y, Z? All of these things. If you say those kind of questions, your unconscious mind's going to go, oh, why am I so silly? Why am I so stupid? Why am I never enough? Well, let me go ahead and look through the catalog of experiences that have told me that that is the case. Oh, do you remember that time at school? Do you remember when the time that family member said this? Do you remember the time when I failed? Yeah, that's why you're silly. That's why you're stupid. That's why you're not enough. That's why you can't have money. That is why you cannot have the career. That is why you can't live the life of freedom. Like, you are asking your unconscious mind the questions to give you the solutions of why you should stay the same, or the reasons to stay the same. Instead, see that so-called problem as the opportunity to challenge your beingness. Like, I honestly can promise you that I love challenges. I don't know when it happened. I don't know if it was when I started a business, when I was like 18 years old. I don't know if it was when I went away to get fit. And I, like, as you probably all know the story, I was like significantly overweight, went to Thailand for 2 months to get into shape, and then I was challenging myself every single day. Like, I was wanting to work out with the pro fighters, going like 9-mile, 6-mile runs to the beach and back with these dumbbells, and we're taking it in turns, running with dumbbells. Or when it went 32 miles around the whole island of Koh Samui in Thailand. Like, I don't know if it was then or before, or maybe a bit of both, but I just love challenges because it's an opportunity to test myself. It's an opportunity to see how powerful I am. It's an opportunity to see how much grit I have. It's an opportunity to see the resilience within my beingness. And I don't say that to impress you, because look, there's always going to be crazy challenges. And you know what? One day there's going to be one challenge which probably that I will never be able to beat. Where I want to beat it or not, but there's one day my demise will come and I will leave this earth and I will die, right? That's probably one challenge that's going to be hard to overcome, unless there's some crazy technology happening, and even then, who knows? But until that day, and it could be any moment, it could be in the next week, it could be next year, it could be in a couple of decades, I don't know. But I'm going to see the world and everything around me as an opportunity to test myself. If I'm experiencing anxiety, because I'm human, I'm going to see it and catch it in a moment and use what I've learned to see and test my ability to resolve that as quickly as possible. If something happens in my life, I'm not going, by the way, oh great, here's a challenge. But I am going, well, there's an opportunity. This is a challenge, but I'm going to prove how great and powerful I am. Whether you think that's coming from ego or confidence or competence, I would still love you to have the opportunity to see it as a challenge. To go, although this stuff is showing up like it is, I refuse to do nothing. I refuse to stay the same. I refuse to not see it as a challenge, because if I don't see it as a challenge, I'm going to give up. And that's when we stay. You see, in life, there are certain things that we need. Now, of course, one of those is being a level of certainty. Like, you want certainty. Ideally, you want the certainty that you know you're going to have shelter. You want a level of certainty of security, a level of certainty that you're going to eat, a level of certainty that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. There's that level, right? You want an aspect of certainty. But if you only ever had certainty, it will get boring very, very quick. So, one of the human needs is to have a level of uncertainty, because that's the expansion of the body. That's the reaction. That's us testing our resolve into the environment around us. Sometimes we forget about that, but there's a part of us which wants uncertainty. Not necessarily the uncertainty of the bad things, because that goes into the certainty of all the bad things to come true. But there's got to be a level of unknown. There's got to be a level of uncertainty in the challenge ahead. Because that's where you start to live life. That's where you actually start to love life. Many of you may have the dream and goal to be a millionaire, billionaire. Many of you may have a goal to be to start your own business. Many of you may have the goal and dream to have a relationship. Many of you may have a goal and dream to get the position that you want in your company. All of that stuff. Well, that dream is good and great, but I can promise you, when you get there, you'll be going, what next? You will. You'll be very grateful, happy, and pleased. I've noticed this with my income, right? I've had certain goals of income in my life within my business, right? Because I believe you should live an abundant life. It gives you opportunity to help people, share things, charity, whatever it is, right? Or to like reinvest into the app or whatever it may be. But when you get there, your beingness goes, what next? What else can we learn? How else can we grow? What's the next goal? What's the next target? So in itself, the end outcome, the end goal is never going to be enough. Not to be in a negative way, but you will always, when you achieve your goal and dream, there'll be something else beyond that to set target on something new, because that's the way we're built most of the time. That's how we are most of the time. We always want more. That's why we buy more things than we need. That's why we want more things than we need. And like I said, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's bad. We don't always need it, we want it, and that's good and great sometimes. But here's the thing. When you get your goal and dream, the most wonderful, beautiful thing, and you've heard this probably been told many, many times, it's not about the outcome, it's about the journey to get there. That is where you honestly reflect on. You'll look back and go, oh my goodness, that is where I go. You remember that situation? I got that that letter from the bank saying, look, we're coming to get your stuff. That was the moment I woke up to my potential. That is when I took control of my life and go, no more am I going to stay the same. Your mind is built that way. You will look back and see all the most beautiful things happening because of the things that you went through, because you challenged yourself for more, because you wanted more, because you decided there was more to grow. That's what you'll look back at. And I'm sure you can do that now. Maybe there are times and challenges in your life where you look back and go, you know, that's where I was powerful. That's where I took a stand. That's when I ended that relationship. That's when I went to university. That's when I left to a different country. That's when I went on my own. That's when I did X, Y, Z. And that was the exciting thing you remember. You may remember getting there. You may remember getting that job, but usually it's the journey and that thought process and the expansion and the idea that actually this is what I want. This is the challenge for life. That is what I'm talking about today. If you do not set yourself challenges, you will get zero change in your life. If you're more dedicated to doing nothing, you are more dedicated to staying the same. You've got to allow that dedication to be something new. That dedication's got to be to the solution. It's got to be to your dream, your mission, your ambition, your vision for life. Most people are depressed because they find a lack of meaning and purpose. And that's a huge generalization, by the way. Absolutely huge. So don't take that as like, oh, well, that's why I'm depressed. But it can be. We find a lack of meaning or purpose within ourselves, and it's usually because we don't believe we're good enough to get there or worthy, so there'll be causes behind it, and there were the causes of the situations, the events, and things that we went through. So I'm not negating that. But once we tap into purpose, we see the meaning, we begin to see the challenge and the opportunity within the so-called problem. You begin to expand your consciousness. You're beginning to, and here's the interesting analogy or thought or image I have in my mind. You see, when I expand myself in terms of my consciousness or my thinking, it grows new thoughts. Like I'm going out there, I'm either researching or speaking, or I'm doing things, I'm pushing myself, all of those things. And it's creating this space for something new to appear. Something that I didn't realize. Something that kind of got in my way before, but now I'm like expanding my peripheral vision and going, actually, there's more out here to be learned. And that's when that new information comes to me. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm still like thinking about that. But when you start to go beyond your comfort zone, when you start to see yourself going through a challenge, you create space for something new to appear. And that new thing to appear could be the realization of your power. It could be the epiphany for a solution, because you're now thinking differently. You're now challenging yourself to see the world differently, and therefore new ideas, thoughts, and solutions will begin to pop up into your reality. And therefore you begin to see the world differently. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to take the opportunity. You begin to expand your life and go, look, this is like the other thing I've been thinking about. It's like gamifying life. You're gamifying your experience of life. You're not taking yourself so seriously. You're not taking the problem so seriously. You're seeing it as an opportunity and a challenge to grow, and that can be fun. It can be hard, but it can also be fun. That's what I want you to take away from this. When you've got a problem, when you feel like this low self-esteem, this imposter syndrome, this lack of money coming in, or this opportunity not appearing, I can't get that job, I can't get that promotion, I feel like an imposter as a CEO, or whatever it is. See it now as an opportunity to take control over it and go, look, I'm ready to expand my consciousness today. I am ready to feel differently. I'm ready to experience the world differently. I'm ready to do whatever it takes, and that's going to be fun and exciting. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to grow. And that's why you don't know this. For those who are listening to this podcast, as I start these episodes, when I start to go live on these things, on the social medias, and all the time when I do my group coaching calls with my people, I'm always saying, are you ready to learn? Are you ready to grow? Because that's the solution we're after. That's what we want. We want to be able to evolve ourselves. We want to expand our consciousness. We want to experience the world differently. For when we do that, we see the world differently. You begin to even see yourself differently. You see yourself as that peaceful warrior, ready to take on any opportunity. When that so-called storm comes by, you're going, I'm ready for this. I'm excited for this. I might not like it, but I'm excited to see where I'm going to go. I'm going to look for the opportunity. I'm going to look for the difference. I'm going to look for the excitement. I'm going to see, how can I challenge myself? How can this contrasting experience truly expand me? Imagine that. You go into a so-called problem and you ask yourself, well, how can this experience cause me to grow? Not cause me to get stuck, not cause me to stay the same, but how can it cause me to evolve my consciousness, evolve my being, evolve myself so I can start to see the world differently? For when I do that, I will start to experience the world differently. Your participation with reality will change. You're dancing with reality in a whole different way. You're not scared anymore. You're not allowing that fear, that worry, and that scarcity and that doubt to get you caught up in that moment feeling like a deer in headlights. You see, we have the fight and flight, but we also have that frozen, which we forget about. That is where most of us can be. We can be paralyzed by our problem, paralyzed by the fear, paralyzed by the events around us. And we've got to go from that paralyzation, if that's even a word, to an absolute anticipation for something new. That I'm going to grow from this situation. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to expand myself. That's what I believe we're here for. To find the meaning in the opportunity. To look for the challenge. For when you do, you'll start to see a different relationship, not only with the external world, but within yourself. You'll start to connect with yourself so deeply. You'll get to the point, I don't know if you ever felt this, when there's something that my goal and outcome for my people in my group is to just realize that you're enough. And I mean, not just consciously, not just logically, because on paper, most of us can say that, but I mean to feel it. To know that you're worthy, deserving, that you're capable, that you're whole, that you're of value, to know that you're enough. I think when you feel that within every essence or every aspect of your neurology, that is when you're going to change. That is going to allow you to take on everything as a challenge. And that is why I always say to work on the root cause of the issue, not the symptom. Because the symptom is the anxiety most of the time, all the worries and the doubts and the thoughts. Find the deeper level or the deeper layer, the root cause that once found. And then, with the proven solution that you find, will solve everything. You'll see everything within you and around you as an opportunity to grow. And that is why we need challenges. Without the challenge, we get zero growth. So I hope you enjoy this podcast episode. Of course, only if you are absolutely committed to release the imposter syndrome. You're absolutely committed to let go of the root cause. And you're a professional. That you're invested. Maybe an entrepreneur, or you're career motivated. Like, it's going to be very specific on that nature, because that's what my program solves with those kind of people. Then go ahead to josephclough.info/talk, and you can go ahead and book a call with us. We'll get clear. We'll get on the Zoom type of thing, and then we'll get clear on exactly what you're going through. We'll get clear on exactly what you want to achieve. We'll get clear on what's unconsciously stopping you. And then we'll come up with a solution to make it a reality through my 8-week system. You have to apply for it. You have to be invested. Just what it is. It's not for free. This is something that's going to be a life-changing experience. And it's fully customized to your needs. It is 10x the value that you'll ever invest in yourself. I really believe that. So that's josephclough.info/talk. And of course, we have the app. If you're not ready to invest yourself to that level, or if you're not that kind of person who's want to excel in their career or their business or as a thought leader, just go to freehypnosis.app, and that means you can get hundreds of hypnosis sessions on there. You can go ahead, transform in the day. You can also transform in the nighttime. I just listen to it as you go to sleep. And then you can also create custom hypnosis sessions to your needs. So feel free to go ahead and do that. And if you enjoy the app, share the love and leave a review. And that just means we're supporting so many people around the world. My goal is to really get all this free content out to you as often as possible. And hopefully you enjoy it and therefore can share it as well. So with that, my friends, always know that the challenge can be exciting. It can be something that allows us to experience something so profoundly deep in our experience in this world that you'll look back and go, this is where I lived, this is where I loved, and this is where I made something happen. This is where I understood who I was. So with that, my friends, go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.